11,000 years ago, when the Earth was wrapped in an endless winter of 1,000 years, in the wake of a global cataclysm, a light in the dark began to shine down from the heavens to bring forth a new era. That light was the beaming evolution of a star, gifting its dying breaths for the salvation of life here on Earth. All that is left of this heroic interstellar gesture are the stories we tell about it, a majesty now called the Helix Nebula, and the faint glowing ball at its center. Isn't it a wonder how the constellation of Aquarius has become the symbol of the water bearer? If the nova transition of the Helix Nebula's progenitor star took place at the end of the Younger Dryas climate anomaly, could it really affect Earth's climate by several degrees Celsius? And if it could, then it was, from our ancestors' perspective at least, Aquarius who was responsible for the flooding of populous centers near waterways the world over. But more on that in a moment. Let's address the data. I would first like to take a moment to analyze this stone, designated Pillar 10 of Enclosure B, found at Gobekli Tepe. This site as a whole represents a major paradigm shift in archaeology, as it became known as one of the oldest megalithic sites. It was the first site to be conventionally dated as older than the pyramids of Egypt. So when Klaus Schmidt and company worked to uncover the stones laid out here, they recognized these T-shaped pillars were not only intentionally buried for preservation, but they were laid out in a systematic format, and they had a story to tell on their carefully carved faces. The complex nature of carving 3D relief images fundamentally changed what we understood and understand about the knowledge and abilities of the terminal Ice Age people of Anatolia. I personally am excited by every new discovery here and how it expands our connection with our human ancestors. What I'm about to uncover in this short video will prove in time to take that understanding a step farther. Perhaps my favorite discovery from this site comes via Dr. Martin Sweatman of the University of Edinburgh, with his revealing that the Fox asterism used at Gobekli Tepe is one and the same with our Aquarius constellation. He has dedicated much of his time to these stone circles on site and has done an amazing job at interpreting the archaeoastronomy and symbolism found within. In recognition of his interpretations, he was featured on the first season of Ancient Apocalypse, hosted by the renowned researcher, author, and historian Graham Hancock. While I was watching their episode highlighting Gobekli Tepe, it was called to my attention how truly important this site is, as a direct communication from our ancestors to us. So I ask, why did they carve this fox asterism so many times 9,000 years ago? What is this pocket carved beneath the belly of the fox? What does this site convey for us to understand? It is my recognition that this pocket is most likely representative of the Helix Nebula, designated NGC 7293, also referred to as the God's Eye Nebula. This nebula's apparent location from Earth is nested in the constellation of Aquarius. If we juxtapose our Aquarius constellation with the orientation exhibited on this stone, we can see that they are well fitted as a mapping of the skies. The Helix Nebula is a truly captivating object in our sky. It is visible to the naked eye under the right conditions, as well as with the aid of binoculars. This night sky beauty appears roughly the same size as the full moon, though it is actually a couple of light years in diameter. As such, it has been well studied by various telescopes and sensory devices developed in modernity. But it was also observed by our ancestors, while it was actively evolving into its current form, during or just prior to the building of Gobekli Tepe. This nebula is also about the closest planetary nebula to the Earth. On a subgalactic scale, it is our neighbor. We've probably all heard the adage, timing is everything, usually in terms of a missed opportunity or some serendipitous happening. In this instance, it applies with regard to a series of anomalous scientific datasets that are crucial to be explained for a comprehensive understanding of Earth changes. The GISP2 ice cores are plugs of glacial ice pulled from Greenland, which have been well studied, and they reveal a series of intense regimes of warming. Now, if anthropocentric climate change is considered dramatic at 0.5 degree to 2 degrees Celsius, the events recorded in the glaciers signify 10 to 20 degree swings in average temperatures. So here's a graph which charts these events with an overlay in orange of the calculated age of the Helix Nova event, bracketed at 10,600 years ago, plus 2,300 minus 1,200. Another well-fitted mapping. Now this is the same GISP2 ice core data in conjunction with the calculated solar energy input to Earth, calculated through Milankovitch cycles, solar minima and maxima, and what we should see at Earth in that time. Below is the same solar energy values overlaying the ice accumulation record. There is a drastic divergence around 10,000 years ago, where the solar energy drops off, while the ice accumulation, which is relative to atmospheric water content, increases. There has not been a succinct and comprehensive explanation for this divergence. This data is pulled from a study conducted by Jose Rial and R. Saha of the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Mr. Rial has done extensive modeling of these climate flux events with regard to internal climate forcing mechanisms, and he recognizes there is an as yet uncertain link between northern and southern ocean circulation and the climate flux. That is to say, we can see the ocean circulation increase heat transfer, but we do not have a mechanism by which that energy is delivered to the ocean. The task, then, is to explain an acceleration of the hydrologic movement of water while the expected incident solar radiation declines. Could it be that the Earth and our solar system received an impulse of energy from another star system? Paleoclimatologists and oceanographers have also uncovered a series of events referred to as meltwater pulses, which are recorded in ocean floor sediments and detrital fossil layers. So again, we have the timing of the evolution of the Helix Nebula overlain with one of those events designated meltwater pulse 1b. There is no agreed upon source for the water involved with this event. Could it be that the source of water for this influx to the ocean was not merely from the glacial lands of Antarctica and Greenland melting, but from a broader acceleration in rainfall and precipitation? Another one of these anomalous data sets is found in the Mississippi River flood events. The only way for events like these to occur is via an increased watershed from continental North America via tributaries to the Mississippi, or via a change in glacial topography allowing for the draining of a major mid-continent extinct or extant lake. 3 of the largest of those flood events are bracketed in the time frame of our highlighted nebula's evolution. Another well-fitted mapping. Of course, we cannot look at an obscure circle on an ancient stone carving and deduce that this claim has any veracity. That pocket could have been an inclusion that was removed from the stone, until we analyze it and determine whether it's deliberately carved or not. So, the star mapping is one thing, which suggests an understanding of orientation, but there must be a story told that can support this claim, and preferably one that is cross-cultural. Well, they also carved this story into the stones at Gobekli Tepe on Pillar 33 of Enclosure D. This fox asterism again, with fire emanating from its belly, tells us not just where it is, but why it matters. The fire aspect is an easy enough read on this stone. However, it requires a deeper understanding of the language of symbology to interpret the other aspects carved on this stone. Serpents are often used to represent comets and meteors in this cryptic language. They have also, more recently, been recognized as an indication of light and plasma energies. The interfacing side of this stone has many serpent heads and a series of coherently aligned sinusoidal snake shapes. In the language of symbology, this coherent squiggle is the same format that we see in representation of flowing water, as well as its use as the sign of Aquarius. This mosaic is located in the Wisconsin State Capitol building. How's that for a cross-cultural mythos, or word of mouth? In modern science, we also understand this as the coherent phase relationship present in the organization of light energy through the process of light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation, which you will know as a laser. Lasers are capable of delivering nearly linear beams of high energy with reduced degradation from the inverse square law of waveform propagation and diffraction through the magnetic fields of space. This means that significant light and heat can be transmitted across great distances without losing as much of their power factor or focal radius. This principle is the basis of energy transmission that is the missing link to the questions of Dansgaard-Oeschger high-amplitude warming flux, Mississippi flood events, powerful Miyake events, Heinrich events, geomagnetic flux, and potentially a cause of cometary influx from the Oort cloud. This expose has been but a fraction of the evidences and historical accounts of this event, focused on the stone carvings at Gobekli Tepe. From the flood of Deucalion to the Sibylline oracles to medieval accounts of fire-breathing dragons, these kinds of events are embedded in the human psyche, to be revealed through scientific deliberation in order that all of us may remember.